This week on Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, we welcome guest Michael Shutt, a playwright, actor, director, and producer with over 30 years of experience. Michael wrote and performed the autobiographical solo show entitled A Lesson in Swimming that takes audiences inside his brain as it breaks and invites them to experience how deep the cracks really go. In this episode of Beyond Stillness, we delve into the world of invisible disabilities, the challenges that can't always be seen but are deeply felt. Today's guest, Michael Shutt, survived 3 strokes, but his journey didn't end with survival. It began there. His experience of living with vision loss, face blindness, and sensory overload has given him a unique perspective on life, identity, and the profound need to feel seen. Michael shares the ways he navigates a world that often misunderstands him and reveals the strategies he's developed to stay connected, not just with others, but connected to himself. Through his story, we learn how authenticity and truth-telling can lead to visibility, resilience, and ultimately, purpose. So settle in, listen closely, and discover the magic of making the invisible visible. Today's story is entitled The Magic of Authenticity. Thank you for joining us for Part 1. Michael Shutt's story.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org.
Hello and welcome to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke. Stroke offers a powerful, life-changing shift in perspective. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. Beyond Stillness offers a moment of pause for storytelling and reflection. We are a welcoming environment that reveres the moment beyond stroke's paralysis. Still moments unite humanity and divinity. I'm your host, Molly Bucola. As we begin today, we take a moment of pause, calling to mind moments in our lives where we've found wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope through recovery. And we give thanks. And now, Michael Shutt's story.
Hi, I'm Michael. Oh, it's nice to meet you. What's your name? Austin? I will definitely remember that. That's my godson's name. Oh, nice handshake, by the way. Firm, but not like you're trying to prove anything. Where are you from? No, wait. Let me guess. Chicago? I knew it. I could hear it in your voice. I love people from Chicago. People from Chicago have that big city energy, but still maintain their Midwestern charm. That is a great shirt, by the way. I love that color. It was really nice meeting you. Oh, and one last quick thing. If you see me later and say hi, and I just stare at you blankly and don't say hi back, I swear I'm not intentionally being rude. I lost most of my vision during a series of strokes a few years ago. And part of my vision loss includes going face blind, which means that even though I can see right now that you have 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, my brain doesn't process that specific set of eyes, nose, and mouth add up to Austin. So if I stare at you blankly, I'm not intentionally being rude. I'm just trying to put the pieces together and figure out where they go. It's like trying to assemble a Mr. Potato Head with my hands tied behind my back, which would really just be mean because both my left arm and left leg were paralyzed for a while. So, Oh, I also legitimately might not see you. My visual fields have been cut by 80%. I lost all peripheral vision in both my left and lower quadrants. No, my vision is blurry. It's just gone. So if you're on my left, I won't see you at all. All I can see now is what's in my upper right quadrant. But within that, I've got pretty severe double vision. It's like I'm perpetually peering through a peephole that has a kaleidoscope on the end of it. Oh, I also get a little overwhelmed sometimes. Too much stimulus, My brain can't filter out what's unnecessary anymore, so I get everything all at once. I heard someone say recently that trying to process unfiltered stimuli with a brain injury is like trying to take a sip of water from a working fire hose. And I felt that. See, if someone's talking to me and there's music playing and the door opens and a breeze comes in, and then someone brings in a tray of food from the kitchen and I can smell it, then I suddenly become aware that the tag from my shirt is scraping the sunburnt skin on the back of my neck, which somehow activates my taste buds. And I become acutely aware that the wine I finished 10 minutes ago is currently staining my teeth. And that's when the room starts to spin. So I might ghost, disappear. Please don't take it personally. It was really nice to meet you. God, I hate introducing myself this way, but I have to every damn time because I'm disabled. But as everyone says, I don't look disabled. Most of my disabilities are not immediately noticeable. Invisible disabilities, they're called. And as I've been told over and over again, people don't understand what they can't see. So no one understands my disabilities. No one understands me. What's frustrating? No, infuriating is that my specific invisible disabilities keep me from functioning in everyday life, following basic social norms that have been thoughtlessly created, accepted, and implemented by able-bodied people. For example, typically, if someone you know says hi to you, it's considered polite to say hi back and address them by name. It's common courtesy. But here's the thing. I'm not common. I have a brain injury. I can't visually recognize who I'm talking to. So I can't respond with common courtesy anymore. And it makes me feel self-conscious and anxious because I don't want anyone to think that I'm intentionally ignoring them. I'm a people pleaser, for God's sakes. I need people to like me. I don't want to go through life with people thinking that I'm a jerk for inadvertently making them feel dismissed or shunned. No, I want to go through life making people feel seen and valued. So when I first meet someone, I always explain my visual disabilities, but I hate having to lead with my disability. Hi, I'm Michael. I had a stroke. Buy them a drink, for God's sake, before you trauma dump. I've worked hard to come up with compensations and strategies, little ways of working around my disabilities. Even though I may no longer be able to see what someone looks like, that doesn't mean that I can't still see who they are. I make it my mission to make the invisible visible because I know what it's like to feel invisible. And I don't ever want anyone else to feel that way. Now, you may have just noticed just now when I was talking to my new friend Austin that I used a few of my strategies to help me pick him out of the crowd. 1, get their name and associate it with something or someone. That way, at least I can start the interaction by showing that I'm listening and that I'm willing to do the work. 2, Read their energy. It's amazing how you really get to see who someone is when you can no longer see them. 3, notice and memorize something that they're wearing. With Austin, I noticed the color of his shirt. It's yellow. Not that many people can pull off yellow, but he seems to be able to do it. So now, when I see a pop of yellow, I'll immediately know that it's him. 4, pick up something in their voice. Everyone has their own unique musicality to their voice, like vocal fingerprints. I played 4 musical instruments and sang most of my life. I get music. I use that to my advantage. These are the tricks and compensations that I've taught myself over the past few years to make people visible to me. I know what it feels like to feel invisible. See, I survived 3 strokes, then began my life revising, recreating myself, just like a phoenix rising. But no one sees me as a phoenix. I always get mislabeled. What they say now is Michael is disabled. And when they make assumptions, it's a bitter pill to swallow. There's more to me than that. That label leaves me feeling hollow. Address me, please, sir, with some affability. I am not disabled. I'm a person with a disability. Your presumption of perfection, in which I've been immersed, doesn't change the fact that I'm still a person first. But when you look at me, that's all you ever see. How do I explain that there's more than that to me? I'm more than my vision loss. I'm more than my cane. I'm more than my aphasia. This really feels insane. There are people that will go to almost any length to convince me that I'm weak, devoid of any strength. They may look past me and look through me with a bias that is visible. But I'm here to take up space. I refuse to be invisible. But that's how I felt. Invisible. After my stroke, I was surrounded by family and friends. But it was the loneliest and most isolating time of my life. I quickly discovered that loneliness doesn't come from a lack of people. It comes from a lack of being seen and understood. It comes from feeling invisible. I do have a friend who sees me. He's a magician. When I start to feel invisible, he helps me reappear. He doesn't wave a wand or pull a rabbit out of his hat. He just sits with me. Instead of filling the space with ribbons, rings, fire, and doves, he clears space for patience, compassion, and a loving presence that's palpable. He makes me feel safe. And this is when he performs his most spectacular trick. He listens. That's it. Something so many of us have forgotten how to do. He lets me talk, and he listens. And like magic, I reappear. Where others meet me reactively with toxic positivity, solutions, shouldn'ts and shoulds, he responds with compassion, generosity, and active listening. Turns out, I didn't need to be fixed. I just needed to be heard. I needed to feel safe with someone. I needed to feel safe to say, I'm scared. I needed to feel safe to say, I'm lonely. I needed to feel safe to say, I'm grieving. And most importantly, I needed to be heard. I didn't even know I was grieving until I said it out loud. Grief is something we don't talk about enough with stroke. Most people only associate grief with death. Well, someone did die the day I had my stroke. Michael Shutt, as we knew him, died. I will never be that same Michael again. And that's okay. That Michael died and he's never coming back. And I needed to grieve him. But I felt like I wasn't allowed to say that. You should be grateful you're still alive, they said. It could have been a lot worse, they said. Stop playing the victim, they said. Then they asked when I was going back to work. Then they asked when the doctors thought I would be back to normal. Then they asked when I was going to be able to do something for them again. But no one asked if I needed time to grieve. And most importantly, no one asked if they could sit with me in my grief. Because people looked at me and couldn't see that a part of me was gone. They only saw the part of me that was still here. But the Michael who could hop in a car and drive somewhere whenever he wanted to was gone. The Michael who could run up a flight of stairs to go get something he forgot was gone. The Michael who could sit and read a book, go out in a crowd, meet friends. The Michael who could quickly process information, solve problems, and work his job. The Michael who could recognize his own face was gone. They were all gone. This new Michael had to relearn how to walk, talk, and make a bowl of cereal. It was terrifying and incredibly lonely. But my magician sat with me. It sat with me in the discomfort, in the fear, in the loss of the life I used to have, and the loss of the life I had once imagined I would have. He sat with me and let my grief roll out. It rolled out like a tightly packed snowball. The more I sat in the warmth of his kindness, compassion, and understanding, the more it started to melt away. He made me feel seen and heard with his stillness, with his support, and with his attentive silence. And that is magic. Magic. Just like when I was a little kid. When I was 11, my parents took me to see a production of The Fantastics at a summer stock theater on Cape Cod. The show began with just a trunk on stage. The lights dimmed, the music started, and a man walked out on stage, sat on the trunk, looked directly at us, and started singing. It was unexpected. It was simple. And it was riveting. We sat attentive, breathless, eager to see what was about to happen. And then, as he continued to sing, he opened the trunk and reached into it and pulled out a chair, and then a table, and then another actor, and then another one, and then another one. It was like watching Mary Poppins pull things out of her bottomless carpet bag. It was magic. My heart raced, my breathing quickened. It was the most exciting thing I had ever seen. It was pure wonder. This was really happening right in front of me. It wasn't a movie. It wasn't a trick. How did they do that? I remember straining my neck to see inside the trunk. I wanted to know how they did that, how they made this magic, how they made me feel this wonder. No. I didn't just want to know how he pulled everything out of the trunk. I wanted to be in the trunk with them. I wanted to be the one pulled out. I wanted to be a part of the magic and make other people feel this sense of wonder. That was the moment I knew I wanted to be an actor. The moment I first set foot on the path. I spent years training, studying, and performing. From an MFA in acting at UCLA to a year abroad studying with members of the Royal Shakespeare Company in the National Theatre in London. I devoted my life to the craft of acting. And as the characters I played came to life, Michael hid, disappeared, became invisible. See, unfortunately, I was often performing, pushing, or playing at a character. I wasn't really telling the truth. I was presenting an idea of what I thought people wanted to see, just like I was doing in my real life. Then I had a stroke and everything changed. I was determined to continue acting after my stroke, but I no longer had much energy. I didn't have the energy to perform anymore, the energy to pretend to be someone I wasn't. All I had left was the energy to tell the truth, to be authentic. And that's when I became a good actor. See, good acting wasn't about disappearing into a character. good acting was about reaching deep inside of me and exposing a part of myself. It's about revealing myself, about telling the truth. When I was in the hospital after my second stroke, and while I was busy having my third, I spent a lot of time talking to God, sometimes laughing, sometimes yelling, but most of the time asking questions. What do you want from me? What am I supposed to learn from this? But the question that came up more than any other was, why me? And it's not surprising. Many of us that have survived a stroke have a why me moment or two. But my why me wasn't about why did I have a stroke. My why me was about why did I live? Why did I live when so many others don't? Was it an accident? Was it intentional? Was I actually chosen to live? And if so, why me? One day in my hospital room, I was listening to This American Life, and I heard Ira Glass say, the best stories happen to those who can tell them. And I thought to myself, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to tell my story. I had dedicated 30 years of my life as an actor, director, producer, and theater administrator, telling other people's stories. I decided it was time to tell one of my own. I decided to tell the story of my stroke. I started writing, and people kept saying to me, you have to do a solo show. Well, that overwhelmed me. So instead, I just started writing short 5-minute stories and then sharing them at various storytelling nights around Los Angeles. The story of a physical therapist who encouraged me by finding my strength and celebrating it. The story of the day I opened my eyes and could no longer recognize faces. The story of the night a lasagna was the straw that broke this camel's back. I shared my stories and people responded. Even if someone didn't know what it was like to have a stroke, most people knew what it was like to go through some sort of struggle. And they started to see themselves in my stories. I loved sharing these stories and connecting with people afterwards. You know what? My friends were right. I should do a solo show. I'm an actor. I've spent my life creating theater. I didn't want to just stand on stage and speak my stories. I wanted to perform them in a fully produced, spectacular play filled with moments of breathtaking, theatrical, you guessed it, magic. So I developed and workshopped my show, A Lesson in Swimming, and put it up on stage for 4 nights just to see what it could be. And it was magic. I took the audience on a ride, like Alice in Wonderland. I took them down the rabbit hole and into the surreal, exciting, and terrifying world of brain injury and back again. When the show ended, the audience cheered and jumped to their feet. Maybe they were just being nice, who knows? But I'd like to think that I had an effect on them somehow. After the workshop, the president of our board of directors, someone that had known and worked with me as an actor for almost 20 years, came up to me and said, Michael, you may have just written yourself the best role you'll ever play. Yourself. My whole life, I thought my superpower was in becoming whatever anyone else wanted me to be. I was the human chameleon. But that's not my superpower. Turns out my superpower is trusting that I am enough, trusting my authenticity. One night, after the show, a man that I didn't know came up and introduced himself to me as a fellow stroke survivor. As he shook my hand, he said, "Thank you for telling our story." I immediately started crying because that was the moment I understood. This is much bigger than me just doing a show. This is bigger than me. This is why me. I'm here to tell the story. When we share our stories, we create empathy and connection. A director once told me that any great theater performance in front of a live audience becomes a collective experience. The individuals on stage reflect and honor the unseen places within every audience member. Everyone leans in at the same time, laughs at the same time, feels at the same time. So much so that it's said that when an audience feels connected to a performance, that their hearts actually beat in unison. Now, how magical is that? Many of us that survive strokes want to raise awareness, to build community, to give back, to help in any way that we can. I like to think that we all help in the way that we know how. I have friends that have written books, friends that run support groups, and friends that host stroke-centric podcasts. That's what they knew how to do. What I know how to do is to tell a story and to make it the most engaging, funny, and transformative theatrical experience you've ever seen. I share my stories so that others can feel safe, seen, and heard. I make myself visible so that you are visible. And you are visible so that I am visible. The stroke didn't break me. It cracked me open. It cracked me open and revealed my authentic self. He's been hidden away for a long, long time. Masked by years of shape-shifting and people-pleasing. Hidden by years of making himself small to make other people comfortable. Being whatever anyone else wanted him to be. Anything other than himself. He's been dying to come out. And it took having the stroke to do it. I'm still getting to know him, this new Michael 2.0. Some people aren't going to like him. And for the first time in my life, that's okay. It doesn't matter anymore that everyone likes him. What matters is that I like him. And so far, I kind of do. When I meet people now, I want them to meet Michael, the authentic Michael, so that I can meet their authentic self. Because ultimately, that's how we all deserve to be seen. Hi, I'm Michael. Nice to meet you.
Storytelling empowers us to share our experiences in a way that invites others to reflect on their own. In closing, we offer reflection questions as an opportunity to spark dialogue with yourself, friends, family, or fellow stroke survivors. In a moment, I will read questions aloud, and you can also find them written in the podcast episode description. Now, community conversation prompts. Who makes you feel truly seen and heard? How do they create a safe space for you to express yourself authentically? When have you created space for others to express themselves authentically? And how did it deepen your connection? Again, this is a challenge for you this week. Try to spark a dialogue with yourself, friends, family, or fellow stroke survivors. Create community.
Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke is made possible by our guests and tax-deductible donations from friends and listeners like you. Join us in empowering stroke survivors with stories of wisdom, purpose, connection, and hope at www.beyondstillness.org. Another way to support is to like, share, or subscribe to our weekly show. Again, thank you for devoting time and space for this week's episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.
Stick with us for part 2, Michael Shutt's interview. Each colorful memory creates a parable for life's greater teachings, a compass for journeys ahead, and inspired wisdom for unique growth. In this episode of Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke, Michael reminds us that embodying our authentic selves is a superpower, and that we all have the ability to create a space where others feel seen, heard, and empowered to be their authentic selves. It's in these moments of true connection that something magical happens. We realize we're never alone on our journey. Remember, as part of the stroke community, you are more than supportive. You are inspirational. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with others and consider donating to Beyond Stillness, Stories After Stroke.
If you are part of the stroke community and have a story you'd like to share on the show, please contact us. Email molly@beyondstillness.org.